Today we're talking about the B word, budgets. Not the constrictive what the fuck ones, but the bougie
Oh,
ones, the ones that support your dreams and your desires. And what if budgeting could feel like self love, not self denial? Because
mm,
after divorce, the last thing you want is another thing telling you what you cannot do. So
mm.
today's guests are here to show you how to budget without killing your vibe or your dreams. Let's get started. Welcome to the Crazy Ex-Wives Club, a podcast dedicated to helping women navigate the emotional journey that is divorce. I'm your host, Erica, and if you're trying to figure out life after the big D, welcome to the club. Whether you're contemplating divorce or dealing with the aftermath or any of the many phases in between, the club has got you covered. Each week, you'll hear stories from women who have been in your shoes. This isn't about spilling tea on divorce details. This is about giving you the tools to take control of your own healing journey. Listen in weekly for advice, tips, and tools to help you move through each stage of the process. Welcome back to another episode of the Crazy Ex-Wives Club. I'm your host, Erica, and today I have Shana and Vanessa with me. They are from Budget Besties, best friends, business partners, and master financial coaches who love talking about that dang B word. They help women who make good money but have nothing to show for it set up an automated budget system that fits their real life. And this is why I was so excited when I had the opportunity to meet them. That's why I knew we had to have you guys on the show because there isn't a divorced woman out there who does not stress over money and managing new budgets and shifting into what their new life looks like. So, welcome, ladies. So excited to have you here.
Thank you, Erica.
Yeah, we are, as you said, excited to talk about the B word. Not some of the other B words that you're thinking, but obviously the budget is the B
Financial
word.
one.
We're the kind of people that are super nerdy and love budgets, and we're gonna like try to bring you over to our side, but we're not gonna do it through all the sad little ways that you may have heard before. But to your point, I'm excited about these ladies' new budgets. Like
Yeah.
nobody's gonna tell you what to do. Love that. You get to have your budget match your new life and whatever it is that you want. And so the control is all yours. Now, to be fair, maybe nobody ever taught you how to budget, but that's what we're here for. We're going to hear and talk about it.
Yeah, I think most people are not really taught how to budget. We're taught the basics. Hope, fingers crossed, hope that
Swipe.
more money comes in
Yeah.
than money goes out, right? We all probably, if you went to college, right? That's when I got my first credit card because they were camped out outside the student union, pushing, high percent APR credit cards, but like, you're 18 now. Your parents aren't here to say no. What's going to happen? So I definitely ran that life lesson of filling I think it was two or three maxed out credit cards. By the time I finished college, it was like pay the minimum from one to the
Yeah.
next to just try and find a window of opportunity to like make it to the next month. But you guys successfully paid off 20 some $1,000s in credit card debt, not making a crazy salary, like, right, as a new little 20 something year old. So it is possible. You just got to have the right tools or the right system. And that's where you ladies come into play.
Well, and I think they stuck you in with like, what, 0% for like 6 months or whatever, right? So they really try to
Which
get
is a
you in.
lifetime when you're 18, huh?
Oh my gosh, I know. So they try to reel you in that way. And like you said, nobody's there to console you and give you any more advice, but this is what everybody else is doing. And this is what you're supposed to do. And you have to get a credit score to be able to buy a house and buy a car and all these grown-up things that they tell you. So it's really easy to get sucked into that. But we have a lot of women that come to us that are divorced that need somebody in their corner to help them and show them because maybe they've never handled their finances before, maybe they just weren't the one dealing with it, and now they're all alone trying to do it by themselves and they have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, and I think that the whole space that we can go into how we got started, but this whole space about money is very men heavy and they have their own perspective on it, but we want to be literally the opposite of all of that. We really try to make the conversation less judgmental because like Vanessa said, either they didn't handle it or a lot of the identity that they have comes with phrases like I'm bad with money or I have a spending problem or whatever. It's all this negativity that they put on themselves. And so we just want to flip that whole conversation, make it fun, make it simple, make it doable. Then, of course, like you said, we're going to be bougie on a budget.
Yeah. And it's so important because I would say I never felt like I was bad at money. I really loved money. I always worked multiple jobs. I always had systems. My first job, like bartending, it was like, okay, when you get $100 in cash, $20 is fun money, $80 rolls over into savings. Like I have been so structured. But when the divorce hit, there still was a lot of fear, a lot of uncertainty. Like, how am I now going to pay for the things that used to be so second nature? I never thought twice about swiping the card for Amazon or swiping the card at Target. And now we have to start rethinking some of those things. So I am curious from all the women that you work with,
Mhm.
what would you say are some of those first mental hurdles that they have to get over to be able to finally start moving forward with the behaviors, the do that's going to change their money situation?
I think we see them a lot, like Shana was saying before, like shameful that they should have known that they're so good in other areas of their life. So maybe they're entrepreneurs, or maybe they're a wonderful mom, maybe they're big in their community, maybe they have a standout job that they have a high position in. This is the one area in their life they feel like they're failing at, and they feel really shameful around that they don't know how. And then they should have known how. Like we hear that a lot. I should know, I should know. Well, no, if no one taught you how to do that, no, you shouldn't know. Right. And so I think breaking that down first, and really what we love about budgets is that it's black and white. It's data over drama.
Yeah.
So we put the words and numbers on paper and show them what's possible. And I think them knowing that, again, we have somebody here, an outside person's point of view, if a bird's eye view, somebody coming in looking at it in a different way, a different light, who's not emotionally attached to their money or the situation at hand, can really help guide them. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think so often too, once something becomes a problem, I tend not to want to look at it. So, like, even not money related, I mean, kind of money related, but like the one I'm thinking about right now is there was a reel that went viral. And so there's a ton of comments out there. And I didn't answer them that weekend because I was traveling. And now every single day, right? That shame, that like weight is building of like, oh my God, do you just keep ignoring it? And
Yes.
so, like, intensify that times 1,000 because it's money and it's how you pay the bills and it's what's happening with your credit score. But same thing, we kind of go like, I just don't really wanna look at it because then I can pretend like all the other feelings behind it don't matter.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, we say people have their heads in the sand when it comes to that. And it's to your point, they just would rather not. But that's because it's kind of like a cluttered closet. Like, let me just shut the door. Done. Or shove the drawer closed. Like just stuff it and shove it. But if you just go on this little journey with us just for a few minutes and get everything set up, it will look so beautiful. It'll be so amazing, and you just really love the results. But then the other thing that we say is, with the system that we're going to talk about today, you get to set it up one time and
Mhm.
then it's running automatically. So imagine you set up something to respond to all of those comments every time you get a reel from here on out, and you don't ever have to do it again, but you just set it up one time. That's what we're going to do. We're going to set up your system. It will pay your bills automatically. It will give you spending money automatically, and it will save money for your trips, for your Christmas, whatever. All of it will do automatically if you just put the time in the first time.
Mhm.
And that goes along with looking at it, which usually, I mean, Vanessa will attest, it's not as bad as you think. Like, it's just a matter of decluttering it, organizing it, and then you're good.
Mhm.
I love that. Yeah, you guys, they have amazing simplified budgeting system. We are going to talk about it here in a little bit. We do have a special link for you down in the show notes. But that piece, that ray of hope, that even when you feel like it's crazy and it's out of control and you'll never get ahead of it, it literally comes down to just making a change and allowing it to start to compound or to roll together. I felt like I was never going to get out from behind student loan debt and credit card debt. And then I had a car payment on top of it. And all of a sudden, I remember how like freeing it felt when the car was paid off.
Mm,
And when the student loan was paid off, all of a sudden I'm like, there's this money now. There's this money every single month that for years, I don't know how
mhm,
long it took me, 10 plus years to pay off my student loans. For, all those years it just was already taken. And when that happened, then things started to shift very quickly. Because again, then I could roll that into the next payment. That one paid off faster, rolled into the next one. All of a sudden all the debt was gone and now I could roll into savings. And then you were ahead of the game. So let's talk a little bit about budgeting systems because the whole goal is we wanted to make sure for you guys listening, we wanted to talk through how do you make a budget that doesn't feel constrictive, something that supports you in your new way of life. So it is a little bougie. You do get to buy all the crystals that you want to buy when you want to buy them. but that
Yeah.
it's not setting you back for like having to eat ramen noodles
Right.
for a month to be able to get through it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And our system, there's three steps to it, and we'll go through each one. But the idea is we want you to create a simple budget, and then we want you to separate your money. Then we want you, like Shannon was talking about before, the last step is to automate it. And so when we had no intentions of creating our own budget. Like that was not in the plan for us. And we tried to find one out there that didn't require you to track everything and just really be in it all the time, and just it was just a lot of clutter for you to be able to maintain the budgets that we saw out there. And so we did. We curated our own, and it's beautiful. It's airy. It has beautiful check boxes if you want to go in there and do that. But it allows you to see everything on one piece of paper. Okay,
Mhm.
because think about when we first started doing this, we were looking at all the words on different budget templates, and it was like fixed and variable income, or expenses, and then needs and wants, and all that. Like, no, we are the way that our budget is set up. It has five simple columns, and it's how you handle your money throughout the month. Has income, it has debts, bills, spending, and savings. That's what you're doing. You have income coming in, and you're either doing one of those four things with it. And so that's how we have ours categorized.
Yeah, and like Vanessa said, it matches what you do with your hands. We don't need all of these complicated categories and just different words, and they're ugly and like Vanessa said, it's very cluttery. It's very simple. Income minus your debt, minus your bills, minus spending, minus savings theoretically equals zero on purpose, right? And so that's our budget. It's very simple. And then part of our system, have you ever, Erica, did you ever hear about the cash envelope system?
Oh, yes. In fact, my child.
Yeah.
I didn't I'm trying to think. I don't think I ever ran it, but it was so cute. And I'm trying to teach my kid about budgeting and money and like, hey, you save some for your big expenses. You know, you want to buy a new gaming monitor, you want to buy a PS5, but like you need to have some fun money too. So we started there and he came back actually from Amazon and he's like, I need to have this book. I need to have this budgeting book. And it literally was like the book of envelopes. And I like looked at him and I was like, we're not spending $10 on envelopes. But I like where your mind is at. And I like that you put some thought into it and you were trying to figure it out. So
Love
talk
that.
to us about the
Well, it's
method.
funny that you say that because it's universally appealing. Like
Yeah.
even your child can understand it. The cash envelope system is separating money into different envelopes that is for a different purpose, right? So that you can clearly see it organized. You can clearly see how much you have per category, all of that. Well, when we started, like we're not that old, but it's been a minute since we've been doing this. Okay, we were doing that. And then we found out nobody wants to do that. Then COVID happened, and literally nobody will take your money, your cash money. So we migrated our entire system to be a digital envelope system. And so all of those category or envelopes that you would have had for cash, now you can have a separate checking or savings account for it. You can rename it, all of the things. Your bank has all the tools. And that is the system. That is part of the system. It makes it separate. So first we made it really simple. Bills, savings, spending. That's it. And then we're separating different accounts, which we can get into. And then the last step is to automate it because it can all be it can, like we said, you can set it up once and it'll do it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So imagine like knowing that you always have money to pay all your bills. You have money for gas and groceries. You have all this stuff. But the idea here is that cash envelope system, it is digital. We're just basically swapping the credit card for the debit card here. And so it's organized and you know exactly how much money you have for what throughout the month.
Yeah. And I think that that's so important. And that is exactly the problem with the envelopes and the cash part, right? People weren't carrying it around, but there wasn't an easy way to transition that into where we're at now, which is really a digital world of money. And
Right.
so you just lumped everything into one. And unless you were tracking, like in a little like column of like, I've got this saved up for a vacation and this is going towards the car payment and whatever else, it's just a big thing. And that's when it can get really easy to accidentally overspend in one area or to move money out and then get caught, and be like, oh,
Right.
shoot, like I
Well,
got a little backwards.
yeah, and to your point, a lot of people think that they have an overspending problem, but it's really an organization problem because if your money is organized, they naturally
Mhm.
are better with spending. Like I know I have $200 to spend for fun money, like you mentioned with your son this month. I'm not going to go over that because I know at least versus when it's all in one account and it's a
Yeah.
mess and it's a black hole, then sometimes I know that I don't have money, but I don't really care because I don't want to go through the work to try to figure it out. So I'm just like, I'll figure this out later. Swipe, swipe, swipe. And so we don't want that for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you have one account that everything is coming out of, your Amazon spending, your Target spending, your Starbucks, your nail appointment, your medical bills, your kids' soccer fees, or whatever, your all that. Like You have no idea what's happening in that one account. Everything is revolving. You have your money's coming in, it's draining out. You're waiting for the next payday. So yeah, when you have an extra $50, you're probably going to end up spending it, and then you feel like you have an overspending problem. But no, we just really need to take the money that you want to spend on yourself out of the equation, and so it's out of that account that's strictly just paying bills.
Well, and just real quick, I want to put it into maybe some terms that we all understand, which is it's like the old way versus the new way. The old way, we had, do we all remember using a curling iron when we were younger, trying to get our hair to be all whatever? And Vanessa has her own stories about like getting burned. I have my stories about like anything I did wouldn't stay because I didn't know what I was doing, right? Our girls, we have two, well, we have three girls between us. They have what's called an automatic. Well, we call it's probably got a cooler name. It's an automatic curling iron, Erica. Now you put your hair, like a strand of hair, it it tells you when, like, it has a guard so it doesn't pull it. It has the right timing. It beeps at you when you're ready to go. And it just like literally you can curl all your hair in like 10 minutes and it's automatic and it's way better than the version that we were using. And that's where we're at. We're in a modern digital age. Let's use all of the modern tools that we can for our budget so it can be easy and simple. Yeah.
I love that. Ladies, have you been craving something deeper? Do you feel a calling, but you can't put your finger on it? There's this rebel desire growing underneath. Have you ever just wanted to go outside and howl at the moon? No, you are not crazy. Your wild woman is calling you. The woman who runs barefoot through the yard, the woman who laughs unapologetically, the woman who knows her value, speaks her truth, and moves through life with a bit of magic. I know you know this woman. I know you desire to be this woman. And 2026 is the year you become this woman. A wild woman is where you come back into your body, your truth, and your desire. It's your monthly moon-led reset to reconnect with your inner fire and build the life you desire, one new moon cycle at a time. To learn more, visit thecrazyexwivesclub.com. So I think we're at a place, listeners, that you shouldn't be afraid of it. This is not about being afraid. This is not about avoiding it. But what would you say? So you mentioned it. They kind of drop in once and they set up, organize, get clear on what it is. Is that something that you guys think people should do annually? About how much time does it take? Like if they're sitting there and they're like, oh, okay, I am guilty. I have zero idea and I haven't done anything. We obviously are going to talk about the simplified budget system, which will be an amazing tool. And it is really cute, very pretty, very easy to follow, you guys. I was looking at it, I was like, dang, you ladies did a good job. But that first piece, so they're like, great, I'm guilty. I need to do this. How much time do they need to set aside? Or what are they really looking at to take some action and move that part forward?
We like to say that there's 365 days in a year. We're asking for 12. If you sit down for one day a month, being able to look at your money and look at everything, like that is such a small amount of time. But to set everything up an afternoon, maybe, I think, Shana, like if you really sit down and you have your numbers, go through your bank statements and we're not saying go through your bank statements to track anything. We're saying if you never have known how much money you spend on groceries, or you don't know how much money you normally spend on gas a month, or you go out to eat or whatever, we're just asking you to like just go back and see what you normally did in a month. Don't pick December, okay? Don't pick like holiday months, but pick like a regular month and just see how much you naturally spend in those categories. And then once you know that, you can break it down to say, okay, how often do I want to replenish those accounts? Is it weekly? Is it biweekly? However, and you can take that and set up this automatic system to be able to fund those digital envelope systems so that way you always have money.
Yeah, and when she says an afternoon, that's really like Vanessa is saying one time because then you're going to need to check in with it maybe in the beginning, maybe like an hour a week just to look at, but probably not even that much time. And then it'll just be a matter of just like thinking about what's coming up next month and I need to just adjust my budget because our budget does it automatically. But even backing up a little bit, I want to speak to this woman that we're talking to our crazy ex-wives friends. You are not a CFO of your money, and it's time. Like nobody's telling you what to do, but now you have to tell you what to do, right?
Stepping into that role.
Yeah, you are the CFO, and so you're going to be okay with like looking at these numbers and being your own bank, being your own CFO, all of that. And so you're gonna need to devote some time to it. However, you said, Erica, it's not scary. We don't want it to be scary. You're gonna be bougie on a budget. Like whatever you want out of your life, your budget's going to reflect it. You're going to put getting your nails done. You're going to put going on that trip. You're going to put all of that into a budget. It's not a scary thing. You do have to do the adulting. You have to make sure bills are paid, and maybe you want to save for kids' college or something like
Mhm.
that, whatever. But then let's put the fun stuff in there too. But
Yeah.
really, it doesn't take that long. And I always think like, let's do a first draft. Like if I have 20 minutes, let me brain dump everything. That's why we put it all on one page, like Vanessa said. So it can't be that scary if it's on one page, right? Brain dump it and see where you get. And if you don't get everything done, fine. But it's really eye opening just to get
Yeah.
those initial numbers on there, and you can keep building it right from there.
Well, I mean, you're making your version of bougie. So that's why we love the phrase. And that's why we trademarked it because it's really fun. But like
Cheers.
her version of bougie is different than mine, then different than yours, and different than the next person. Like, and that is okay. That's the point. And so you can make your budget. And we don't have cookie cutter budgets. Like, there's a lot of people that say you need to do the 20, 30, 50% or whatever. No, your budget is going to be based around your income and your expenses specifically, not anybody else's. So you need to make sure that you want to do it. Because if you don't, if you put something on paper that you don't want to do, you ain't going to do it. Right. So we
Mhm.
want you to make a
Yeah.
budget that you love, that's exciting, that matches your goals and matches how you want to manage your money throughout the month.
And forgive me, Erica, let me just say when she says that, no one is telling you what to do, right? We're excited about that. But also, you can't fall back on that excuse anymore. It's time for you to step up. And a lot of times we see that rebellious spirit like, oh, well, so I don't get to, like, but you're the one creating it. So you get to decide what you're doing.
Mhm.
And let's not blame any ethereal person that's in charge anymore. You're doing it, and it can be your budget can match what you want, but let's leave that like rebellious person in the past, and let's own it, and let's make this budget fit who you want to be.
Yeah, and I think that there's another side to that rebellious person too who just goes, "Well, I'm going to you know what, it's been so hard, so I'm going to treat myself to this.
Mhm.
And I've already given up so much, so I'm going to do what I want to do." And while in the moment that feels very empowering, when you really stop, yeah, like when you really stop and look at it, it's not an empowering thing. It is a reactive, rebellious self-sabotage piece. For me, my goal was so when I look at budgeting, whether or not you ladies agree, but hopefully you agree, I never want to budget down to the dollar, the penny, even the $100. Like I always wanted a bigger cushion in there because my form of bougie was if I really wanted the organic blueberries when I went to Whole Foods to pick up lunch, I got to buy them because that fruit looked really good and I wanted it that day. So I wanted to live in a space where there was a cushion, where everything wasn't so constrictive. But when I finally started looking at my credit card bills, instead of just living off my bougie blueberries, right? And I'd be like, why is it so tight? I started to realize that, yes, all those $30 Amazon purchases, all of a sudden there were 10 in a month, right? And I was like, what did I even buy? Or I wasn't looking at, lately, I've been looking at how much is being spent in going out to eat and how much is being spent at groceries. There are seasons when we go out to eat a ton. And then now there's seasons where we got to shift. And so it's having that framework to look at it and I can choose differently. So we were going out to eat a lot and now we're shifting back into, football season's over. Sad day for my
Mhm.
partner on Sunday. He woke up that morning and he literally was like, today's a very sad day.
I think that Monday should be a national holiday in America
After Super Bowl.
because that, like, not only the emotion, but like you're tired and
Yeah,
everything.
he was upset. He was definitely he's like, "This is a very sad day." I had no idea, and then I'm like, "Oh my god, yep, last day of football." So, everybody's different. For him, he has no problem spending his bougie budget on hanging out at our favorite restaurant, ordering pizza, drinking beers, watching football all
Yeah.
day. College on Saturday, NFL on Sunday, right? Like that's where he wanted to spend his money. I'm over here like, "Ooh, I want a new crystal or a sound bowl or whatever." We each have different desires and we get to choose where that money goes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, and that's why we say it's non-negotiable for if you have a spouse to you each have your own spending money because you get to spend your money on whatever you want. It's no judgment and he gets to do the
Mhm.
same and nobody cares what each of you spend your money on, but it's the fact that you have it available to do whatever whenever
Yeah.
because we know that if you don't have that, that's when you dip into everything else because you feel like you don't have any money and like we were saying before, I had a client last month, girl, I had a session with her last week. She overspent last month by $4,000. Okay. And that's $4,000 that she's going in the hole this month, right? Trying to make
Extra
sure.
bougie.
Extra bougie month.
was like, how do you overspend my
I
$4,000? And she said, I make good money. I should be able to go out to eat. And I said, we budgeted for that, but we didn't budget for like 10 of them in a week, you know? So, but it was that idea of, well, I should be able to. But what she didn't realize was we put all that, we put all the buffer and everything in the budget,
so
but she just wanted to go a little deeper. But that set her up. Like you said, in the moment, it seemed like a great idea. 30 seconds later, when she realized how much she overspent and how it was going to put her in the hole the upcoming month, she was like, I probably shouldn't have.
So the thing is, what will take a lot of the stress and guesswork out of this is 90% of your budget is the exact same every month.
Yeah.
So to your point, Erica, what we want to do is we want to look at what we're spending on groceries, and we're going to set a budget for that. A set budget every month. Instead of sometimes I spend 600 a week, sometimes I spend 100. No,
Yeah.
right. We're going to say for a month I spend $2,000, whatever it is, right? And we want that to have the cushion for the blueberries, right? On
Add
purpose.
that buffer.
We're all about the healthy foods. We want to have that, but then that's a guardrail for me. I know I have them in my grocery account. It's getting either refunded weekly or every other week, whatever. And that's how much I'm spending. And I'm swiping that grocery debit card, and that's my little budget. I don't have to think about how much, what bills are paid or if I get to spend on Amazon or not. I know I'm living in that budget, which really, really helps. The same thing will be true for my eating out budget.
Mhm.
Again, we're not here to tell you not to eat out. We're here, you want to eat out, let's set some parameters about it so that you can do that and you can reach your other goals with your budget, right? So that's again going to be up to you. And that's why we build it in that way. We build your income minus your debts, because those need to get one paid and then paid off, and then minus your bills, and then spending comes next. Let's see how much money do we have left to play around and put in these different spending categories.
Yeah.
And then once that is good and we feel good about that, then we're going to start with the savings buckets. We're going to start funding all the other things in life on purpose. And then after that, we can see if there's anything left and what we would do for it. But we really want to put all of these parts of your life that are important to you in
Mhm.
there with a little cushion, like you said, so that we know that we can afford them.
Yeah, because it's not like Jesus take the wheel and like we're just hoping for the best. No, it's like we have guardrails in place, and that's what these, when you put the money in those separate accounts, it's like you're creating little mini budgets for those categories. So, unless you're spending money from the bills account, which is what my client was doing, where all her money
Don't
was,
give people ideas. Don't tell.
you have debit cards for those other accounts, and that is like you can't overspend. Like you're really holding yourself accountable, and that little account is your guardrail. And it really does, it's really a foolproof system when you do it the right way. And like you said, we don't like to get down to zero, but we add all that buffer in there on purpose because we know we're in stupid. Like we know that we're gonna maybe go a little extra here and there. I need a BOGO account, like when groceries go BOGO specifically. Like there are some things when they go, like I know I'm gonna spend extra on that, but being able to have all that in there, knowing that you have the freedom to spend.
And it's not like a budget means it's restrictive forever. Like it's not, you do a super strict diet, you have a severe bounce back, right? We all do it. It's about figuring out like tiny shifts, tiny shifts, tiny shifts to get to where I want to give you some breathing room. Because another like core foundational belief for me is I want my money to work for me. I want you to work hard and fast. And I want you to be like, I don't know if I said this to you guys, but I used to always think about my money like little tiny rabbits fornicating in my bank account while I slept at night, because rabbits just multiply all the time. Yeah, so I was like, "Have at it, you guys. Go have some fun, like, do your thing, and then the next day, just wake up and there's more money," right? So, anyways, you play the game, makes yourself laugh, but I always wanted my money working hard for me. So, did I need to have a little bit of a tighter budget certain seasons of my life? Yeah, so, like, when I first got divorced, I reined it in, dialed down. I really managed, like, how much was I spending on food? How much food was I throwing out? How much food was still sitting in my freezer that I should figure out how to cook through or do something with? Where was my Amazon spending, right? And when it got comfortable again, when the savings started to accumulate, I was like, oh, we're ready to expand. We're ready to move to the next level so that I can travel where I want to travel. Or like I got into snowboarding, not a cheap hobby. I bought all the stuff that I wanted and it was fine. Again, my little rabbits were working hard on that bank account. I was able to pay for the things that lit me up. I was able to pay for the things in my next chapter of life that made me happy, that I was building, that I wanted to explore instead of being so afraid that I can't go out to dinner and I can't buy this thing and I don't know how I'm going to afford it.
Yeah, I think that's why it's so important to like our budget. You can see it all on one page and it's doing the math for you. So if you can, you can play with if my income goes up, or you can play with if I tweak the grocery budget or my spending, how much can I save? Or the other thing like you did, which is if I as I pay off debt, I get that money back in my budget. Where am I putting that? Am I celebrating by increasing a little bit of my spending?
Yeah.
Am I celebrating by doing more savings, or am I putting all of that toward the next step? But you can see all of your numbers, so you can actually make really great decisions. And it doesn't have to always be back on debt. It doesn't have to continue to be restrictive. You know, it's up to you, and you're gonna work, but you can see it all on one paper, which is really, there's not a lot of budgets out there that do that, so that you
Yeah.
can really tell what's happening with your money.
One of the things that we love is when they fill out their budget and we see that the bottom column add up for the debt. And we're like, imagine if you had $1,000 back in your pocket right now, because that's how much you're paying on minimum payments on debt, right?
Mhm.
What would you do with that money? And that's the fun part. Like you get to dream and have vision and like, what do I want
Mhm.
my money doing for me? How do I want it working for me? And we think, when you have this budget on one sheet, you can see all your numbers right there, knowing that you're paying towards a goal that you can put that eventually towards a trip to Europe, or you're going to put it towards a house down payment or whatever. It just keeps it front and center.
It definitely feels a lot better. All right. So we've talked about you started talking about your three phases, right? Get clear on where the money is at. Then we had the separate, right? Is that correct? Getting into your separate accounts. And then we started to talk a little bit about automate. Is there
Mhm.
anything else on the automate part that you want to cover?
We were saying that your bank is for you, actually. And if they're not, then get a new bank. But they have a lot of tools. And so what we want is the bank will automate your budget for it. It will pay your bills for you. It will separate or send money to your spending and savings accounts automatically, recurring on the date that you choose. So you really, like Vanessa said, you really have to spend like an afternoon getting this set up, and then it will keep working for you when you're asleep. You can rename accounts, you can reorder your accounts, you can hide accounts,
Yeah.
all of the things. Like the bank is here to automate your budget for you, so
Yeah.
you don't have to be in there doing it.
People don't know that a lot of these tools are available on their bank app. And what our clients, what we do is we set their budget up. And again, this is when they work with us, but this is the same if they buy the system. It's all, the whole course, everything is in there. It tells you exactly what to do. You set your budget up, you go to your bank, you set up all the automatic transfers, and then that's it. And then you
All
spend
done.
money, and then you just check in to make sure that nothing is crazy. Like that's it. That's all you have
Yeah.
to do.
That was the question that was going in my head because as you talked about different cards, here's your grocery card or here's your fun money card. And I was like, do you really have separate credit cards that you're running around on? Is
No.
this a certain bank that you have to be at or like how they're setting it up?
Well, first of all, let's get rid of that credit card word that you said, friend. Love you so much. Where you can do credit
You
cards, but
really meant debit card. That's
we,
really
yeah,
what
we, really, well,
I
anyway.
did.
Now, truly, you really will have probably at most 3 debit cards in your pocket, right? In your pocketbook, which is not that different than all the credit cards you've been running around with, girl. Don't lie to us. We know. Anyway, so you're going to get rid of those, cut those up, whatever you do with those. And then you're going to have your gas and groceries card, which is a separate account. You're going to have your personal spending money. Let's go, girl. Yes, girl. And then you're going to have possibly an eating out, because we want those separate. You need to be able to go out to eat and have fun, and also know you can feed your family or feed yourself, like actual groceries, right? So those are 2 separate. Anyway,
Yeah.
three debit cards in your wallet, not a big deal, not like, it's not stressful, and it's amazing, truly.
And we have super cute debit card stickers that you put on your debit cards. Like my bank has different designs and I can pick from them. Her bank is boring. It's a great
Right.
bank, but it's still boring and you can't. So they're all the same. So it makes it hard to know, right? But anyways, everything is figure outable, right?
Yeah.
So basically what we want you to do is, yes, have the separate accounts. You have a couple debit cards in your wallet. You know exactly where to spend your money and how to spend it. Meanwhile, your savings is building, your bills are being paid, and everything's done.
Yeah, because just because you have different accounts doesn't mean you have to have a debit card for it, but you can take advantage of using those different accounts as envelopes, like we kind of like a digital envelope, like we talked about. There is not one bank. Many banks and credit unions will do this for you. They will allow you to have a separate or several accounts. There are several of them even that will have high yield savings. So you can have multiple of those. So your rabbits are doing rabbit things while you're sleeping. Like
Yeah.
there are options out there. Like, and if you have a bank that does like not like this, then fire them and get a new bank, right?
Love that. I know. I do have 3 high yield savings accounts. they they reach earmark. They have different names. There are different things that they are working for. So I love that and thank you for clarifying because yes, my head was like, huh, what is going on? Yes, I did say credit card, but I do pay mine off every month, kind of like a debit card, but it took a while to get there. If you guys are just listening and not watching, that was hilarious. The faces, no. Okay, debit cards. I will try and correct myself for the rest of our
Okay,
episode.
hold on. Let's put a plug in here.
Yeah, I want to.
Yeah.
We're not shaming you.
Right.
We don't even care that much about credit cards, honestly. What we want you to do is be your own bank and stop relying on credit cards. That's what we want.
Yeah.
That's the key word is relying. Because when you're going to the store and you're looking at your wallet and you're like, am I swiping my debit card or am I swiping my credit card? Because you don't know, that's a problem.
Yeah.
So we want you to make sure that you know exactly where your money is going and how it's working for you. And if you don't know, then that's where you're starting to rely on credit cards to fund your life.
I love that. Yes, you're not using the card to extend past what fits in your budget.
Yeah.
It's just the mode. All right. I love that. So let's talk a little bit about how they can find you and if they're looking for more because yes, there is the simplified budget system which you guys that is you get it. You get the tool to track the one pager looking at your budget. You get some video trainings to help you get everything set up for success, but there are some other options too on what you guys offer. So why don't we talk a little bit about that and what Budget Besties really is all about?
Well, if you really want more tools, just more free content, and just really truly understand everything that we do, just hop on over to our podcast. It is Financial Coaching for Women, and it's on
Mhm.
every platform.
Yeah, and it's for women, so you'll fit right in over there. But if you want to learn about our budget system, if you want to get our budget system, we want you to. It's made for you. It's made for
Mhm.
women. It's simple, it's pretty, it's easy to use. It does the math for you. Like that's amazing. What we want you to do is go to budgetbesties.com/ex-wives club and you can find out more about it there. You'll see Erica's beautiful picture there. And we're in this together. We
Yeah.
have a lot of clients that are coming out of relationship and they're doing this for the first time on their own, and this is the tool that we want to give you to make it easy, to make it simple, and so that you can get this new era. You can fund it the way that you want to.
Yeah. And I will say, like, this is different than a budget template you're going to buy on Etsy or when you're going to find on Google. That's why we didn't call it a budget template. It is an entire system because you can put words and numbers on paper and call it a
Mhm.
budget. And then what? What do you do? What do you do with your hands? And that's why we have a completely different system.
Yeah.
And it's why it's a budget system.
Well, and we're not just expecting you to know how to use it. We're going to teach
Yeah.
you about budgeting at the same time so that you can be done with this like not knowing in this head in the sand era.
I love that because knowledge is power, you guys. And instead of just continuing to ignore it, let's say this even if you've dug yourself a ginormous hole, like where I was at 24, right? Graduating college, making like next to no money, leaving with 20 some $1,000s in student loan debt. California was cheap at that point, but I took the max out every single quarter, right? Never paid it off. Then walked out with like $30,000 in credit card debt and I don't even remember what I was making back then. It was tiny. It was tiny, right? Like my parents were literally supplementing my rent. I was living in San Jose, California. So Silicon Valley rent was not cheap. I couldn't even afford my own place. All the pieces. And I still dug my way out a little bit at a time. But first I had to get clear, right? First I had to stop the leaky bucket. I had to stop the money running into all sorts of places that I really wasn't aware it was going or how I was spending it. I had to get choosy on where I wanted to put my money, like what's really important to me and what do I want to spend my money on. And then I had to just start paying off, right? Moving through, creating better systems. And that's what these ladies can do. So when you look at that simplified budgeting system, it gets rid of all the pieces of the finance world that we don't like, right? The the fixed and variable. I like cringed when you said that because when I
Yeah.
used to work with salon owners and we'd have to for their business look at what's fixed and what's variable and some are like kind of tricky and you're like, but that should be variable, but it's not or this or that. Like get rid of all that. We don't need to overcomplicate it.
Right.
We just need a way to understand money in, money out, and where do I want my money to go? How is it going to work for me? And the simplified budget system is definitely going to be an easy tool to get you started in it.
We agree. We totally agree.
We agree. Well, I love you, ladies. I love our chat. I hope you guys have had a fantastic time getting over your fears about money. Stop hiding, stop ignoring it. One tiny step at a time. I mean, if I can dig my way out of 50 some $1,000s of debt, and pay it off and live debt free and have my money work for me, you can too. And it's the same way that you're rebuilding post divorce, right? It's one choice over and over every day. We're like, how can we refine a little bit more? How can I shift a little bit more? What do I really want in my life? And how do I go after it? So I want to thank you, ladies, for joining me today to talk all about money and about budgeting systems. The B word over there, F word fear over here is a powerful combination when we look at getting rid of fear and mastering budgets. So until next week, you guys go get clear on your money. It's your homework assignment for the week. I just want you to go take a little sneak peek. If nothing else, take a look at your card. Take a look at that spending report they give you that tells you where it goes in big amounts, and just get curious to see if your money is working the way that it should for you. Then pop over to budgetbesties.com/ex-wives club to get your simplified budget system. And that's it. Another great episode of the Crazy Ex-Wives Club, a podcast for women learning how to heal from their divorce. Tune in next week for more advice and tips to help you figure out life after divorce. And until then, give yourself grace, do the best you can, and know that this is all part of the process.